Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. I'm your host Hassan. I have Ruhel and Adil with me. We'll be discussing Liverpool's 3-0 victory against Arsenal, where they've recorded the biggest margin against Arsenal away from home, really. Adil, what was your take on the first half and the dominance of Liverpool, where they literally battered Arsenal?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was the Liverpool of last year. Um, you know, they said they stole out, other than the first 2 minutes. After that, I don't remember Arsenal really building up and attacking the Liverpool half. I mean, they played the ball over the top a few times and they had a few counter-attack situations, but actually, you know, the defense pushing up to the halfway line, um, and building up the play and playing the game in Liverpool's half never happened other than the first 2 minutes. That's how much Liverpool dominated the game. And the counter pressing, the overlaps, creating the space for the full backs on both sides, especially Trent's side. It's just a real complete performance from Liverpool. And Arsenal never laid a glove on Liverpool. So it's really, really top performance from Liverpool. And you know, they should have been well ahead even at half time. You know, they should have. That first half was complete domination. Um, you know, there's a chance for Firmino at the beginning. There's a chance for Salah. Mane had a header.
James Milner had everything.
Milner, real good chance. And that was with Arsenal defending with every player. Every player was behind the ball, and there was still the sharpness of the attacking play, the combinations, the crosses. They were still creating and opening up Arsenal at ease. Really, it was just one-way traffic. So, really, really surprised because of the quality of Arsenal players. They're not playing, one of the teams down the lower end of the table. These are multi-million pound players who have got technical ability, and they just could not hold on to the ball. I mean, it's like Fabinho was everywhere. He was single-handedly man-handling the whole Arsenal, midfield. It's just real powerful performance.
What was your view on that, Ruhel?
If you ever seen a one-sided first half, that would have been the most one-sided first half you'd have watched. Arsenal lined up with all the injuries they've had, I've got at the moment, they lined up with 4 attacking players, like I said, Aubameyang, Odegaard, and Cabez, is it?
The Pepe.
Pepe.
Yeah. Cabez, and they had Pepe. And there was a lot of attackers, and I thought, is Arsenal going for it, or is it the lack of the lot of injuries they've got? They had to go for that team, but you could see after 5 minutes, those 4 players weren't touching the ball. The game was just going past them. I mean, slow motion. Fabinho was manhandling 3 of the players single-handedly. Thiago was dropped in between our centre backs and just dictating the ball, knocking it around, and Fabinho just controlled that game. Yes, we had a lot of possession in that first half. The cutting edge wasn't there, but when we did open them up, where the Milner chance, where, if that was on target, that's a goal. Mane, where Mane put crossfield board, it went. I think Gabriel did quite well to put Salah off, and it went behind Salah. But I've never seen a one-sided game. It looked like Arsenal set it up just to defend and hit the long ball over Trent. That wasn't working, and they kept on doing it in the first 45 minutes. There's only one team looking like they're going to win.
I don't know how wide he is.
Yeah, it's crazy because it was very congested in the middle of the park, and Trent was overlapping on the right-hand side. Tini went off injured. I don't know if he got knocked or got pulled a muscle, and that's a big loss. Let's not go down that route. That Tini's maybe one of the best left backs in Europe at the moment. The way he's playing, I think he's the second best left back after Robertson, and a lot of people might disagree, but I think he's up there in that level. And when you got a player like him going off, that side is going to get exploited a bit longer, a bit more. And that half, once he got injured, you can see.
I mean, Tierney was getting exposed while he was on that pitch. He could not handle Salah. Maybe he was carrying a knock, we don't know. But I was surprised because Liverpool were targeting that side, and obviously they were forcing Aubameyang to come back and defend.
100%.
And he didn't want to do it half the time. But I mean, the way Salah was just, he was, too much for Tierney
He was too
anyway.
strong.
While he was on the pitch, that combination of Salah and Trent was too much for anything on the left-hand side. I mean, wave after wave of the attacks was all happening down there. And that was while Tierney was on the pitch. So, Tierney was struggling. I wasn't surprised he wanted to come off. Because
did you think he come off, or did he get injured?
No, he was injured, but knowing the type of character Tierney is, it never looked like a serious injury. It looked like, one of those where a slight knock, probably other games he might have continued playing. I never thought, the tackle he done on Milner, he actually fouled Milner and ended up injuring himself. But, either way, he was getting run ragged before that point. So
100%. But one-legged Tierney is better than no-legged Tierney. And where I see it is, yes, we're overlapping, but there's a presence there when Tierney's playing. However, we weren't clinical enough in the first half. We should have been couple of goals up, but it was so one-sided. There was nothing in that midfield for Arsenal in that first half.
Adi, sorry, what would you put down the struggle for Arsenal, really? What was it down to that they were struggling so much? Was it
it's the players? I mean, we can't say, we don't know whether it's tactical, because obviously you could question the players that played. I mean, they weren't ready for the counter pressing of Liverpool and the physicality of Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool, and they weren't playing overly physical. It's just Arsenal players just didn't want it. I mean, Ceballos was getting budged off by Thiago off the ball. Thiago's taking the ball off them. So you had too many soft players on the pitch. You had Aubameyang who didn't want to get into a physical thingy. Only one was Lacazette and maybe Partey and Tierney, but everywhere else on the pitch, Gabriel was okay. He done quite well in the first half, even though he made a big mistake in the second. And physically, he was standing up to it. But then you got Pepe, didn't put a tackle in, was so easy to take the ball off. You got Aubameyang doing the same. You got Ceballos doing the same. You got Odegaard, who, after a couple of good performances, everyone's going on like he's a 50 mil player. He was non-existent today. He didn't show up at any point of the game. I just think the personnel and the character of this Arsenal team is very soft when they don't have certain players. And now you can see why Arteta always picks those players. Obviously, they weren't available due to injury today, but there was a distinct lack of leadership and physical presence. They just didn't want to battle. They got out fought today. Every time they had the ball, they gave it away.
I mean, Ruel, what would you make of the second half and the substitution of Jota and how he came into the game and literally just changed the whole game?
Klopp took off Robertson, dropped Milner to left back. I'll be honest with you, Arsenal was not going to be coming out their half. So I think Klopp tactically, he put another striker on the pitch, and he went with a 4-2-3-1 formation, and it was game over. The minute Jota came on, he's a different animal, running between the lines. He's spinning off between the lines, and the goal was coming. All we need, we didn't. There's no point putting Jota on and stopping him over with Fabinho or Mane, where most Liverpool fans might be sat at home saying, you know what, Mane's not on there or Salah's not on there at the moment. We are dominating, but we're not creating chances. We're not clear cut. Klopp got tactically right. He put Jota on, took Robertson off, and left Milner just to cover that side, and it was game over, because the possession football that Liverpool were playing. It was so easy. It was like many games boys. We kept on winning that ball like every 2 seconds. Every time they got the ball, bang, Firmino's getting it. Fabinho's getting it, Thiago's getting it, Milner's getting it. It looked like Arsenal didn't physically want it. Aubameyang, Pepe, it's like they're playing with 2 men less. They weren't interested in the game at all. I think they were afraid to get into tackle. It wasn't even a dirty game, but Fabinho was just controlling that game. And fair play to Trent today. I think he had one of his better games today. That ball he whipped in today, Hassan, that was Beckham-esque. That was pure Beckham style crossing. He whipped that ball. The crazy thing was when Salah had the ball and Salah had the chance to give the ball to him, Trent was offside. Trent got himself back on side. And when Salah gave that ball and he whipped that ball, and Jota, he likes playing in between lines. He went in between. And I tell you something, the ball was that good. No defender was defending that. That ball was that good. The way he whipped. And Jota, it was quite a simple goal. A good strike would just head that in. It was a simple goal, 1-0 up. And then there's confidence after that.
I think that changed, though, as she said, 2 or 3 significant things. Yeah. One, the fact that Klopp was so confident in controlling Pepe, and the fact that Pepe was a non-factor in the game, that he was okay to take Robertson off and put a midfielder in that position who's going to play slightly more attacking, actually shows how poor Pepe was and how much he was just a non-factor in the game. I mean, there's quite a lot of the players in the Arsenal team really surprised how long it took for Arteta to make any changes. Really surprising because the performance was that poor. And then the other thing it says is also the fact that what a difference it makes having a player actually going into the box other than just Mane and Salah, because Firmino, you will never see Firmino in that position busting a gut to get into the box. But what a difference that makes for players like Trent, who who's known for his assists last few seasons. Now having that option in the box, and a guy who wants to play on the blind side of defenders, get on the end of things, make runs in behind. It just shows that, I mean, I can't remember Firmino making that run once, even though he didn't play bad today. Jota's doing what Firmino does, which is the link-up play, the hard work, but then he's also busting the gut to make the difference as a striker and have a presence in the box.
Adi, sorry, I'm going to stop there. I wanted to kind of focus on the move that Jota done, because we kind of discussed this before in terms of being on the blind side. If you could explain to those people how key that movement is and how he's done it to kind of isolate that space.
So what he done was, as soon as the ball came to Trent, what happens is when you stay on the blind side of the defender doesn't know whether to keep, because he's now having to look at the ball and the man on the ball, but also your movement. So what happens is naturally you're going to look at the ball, because you can't judge what to do defensively without seeing what the player on the ball does. So then they can't keep their eye on you as well at the same time. So then what happens is the defender cannot commit to anything because you're on the blind side. So you can't see whether you're going to run across him or go in behind. So that basically isolates the defender into guesswork, guessing where the cross is either going to go, or guessing where the striker is going to make the run. So that was the main thing. Is he stayed blindside, between the lines, but not the line in front of the defenders, behind the defender. That's the key thing. And so that's why Holding could never commit to whether to and that's why he was actually isolated, and
that's why he kind of dropped off as well. You saw,
yeah, the ball was great, but he didn't move forward or back because of the positioning of Jota. So excellent, and that's why I said previously. I mean, Jota isn't just a good technical player. I mean, his football brain is what impresses me the most. The runs he makes, how early he makes it, the quickness in his thoughts. He makes opportunities because of his intelligence and the quickness of his intelligence. And that goal just highlights it.
Ruel, what would you make of, I mean, we kind of spoke about Trent and overall influence, but I mean, again, some of the balls you were putting in, he created another chance for Salah. Is this a Trent fully back on form, would you say?
Look, Trent Trent, if you go back the last couple of years, Trent's been the best right back near enough in Europe in assist attacking wise. He's an attacking wing back, if you want to call it. The way football is at the moment changing. You know, you got goalkeepers playing football now. There's no such thing as keepers kicking it out. Keepers need to now start knowing how to keep the ball, play short, and etc. etc. So the fullback system is developed. You know, you got winger now. They play like wingers. Look, Trent had something to prove today. He was dropped from the England squad. He must be hurting inside, right? He must be sitting at home thinking, how did I not get into that England squad? Yes, he hasn't been great. He knows that. And today he came on the pitch and he had something to prove, and he had a good game. He had a very, very good game. And what made me more happy as a Liverpool fan is the fact that when he crossed that ball and Jota scored, the way he celebrated, it meant a lot to him. It's telling, Southgate, hang on a minute, mate. I don't become crap overnight. You know what I mean? So, I think it's kicking the teeth for him. Yeah, I think it's kicking the teeth for him, but you have to understand, exactly with the situation with Trent, we go back to the overall team of Liverpool. Liverpool are missing key players, right? Today, Kabak and Phillips, who played at the back, didn't do anything. They just strolled around the whole game. There wasn't, Phillips, a couple of headers in the first half. That's bread and butter for him. Kabak, I don't know if he even touched the ball unless he passed it sideways. I don't think he was even anywhere near him. It was such an easy game. And Trent today, that was the old Trent. The first half overlap, second half overlap. Trent could have had 3 assists today. Easily 3 assists if Salah and Mane were a bit more sharper. However, a player never loses his touch. Confidence go down, forms go down. A player always good. Let's go back to the England thing. Everyone says that Southgate was right to drop Trent. I personally disagree. I think he's the best right back England's got. After the game today, you got people like Mika Richardson, Jamie Redknapp are saying he's the best right back England got. But however, 2 weeks ago when he was dropped, or last week when he was dropped, no one mentioned he was the best right back. Everyone's thinking, hang on a minute, he's not playing well, etc., etc. And then he comes and does this today. Now all of a sudden, he's the best right back. So the media has something to play with it. Overall, Liverpool have been poor as a team. But let's be honest, Trent is a unique player. And there's very rarely you're going to find players like that. Like last time I remember, I'm not trying to give him the same stature. We had people like Roberto Carlos. When did he ever defend properly? But he was good attacking. Cafu, again, he attacked and defended. So he's a unique player. And I think he will be back in the England squad. I think he will be the starter for England. I'll be shocked if he isn't. And I think Liverpool are getting better. Players are starting to come back. Liverpool are playing with 2 centre-backs, and it gives confidence for a player like that who attacks, where a normal Liverpool team, he would attack, and he knows Henderson is there to help him. He knows Van Dijk is covering. He knows Gigi is covering. He knows when you got that freedom, and I'm sure Klopp allows him to do that because he knows that when he does that, other players are covering. But when you have key players missing, and when you do that, you get exploited, then you look bad. But however, I think he did a fantastic game, and good on him because it meant a lot to him for making that assist. I don't know if you saw that, Sheikh, the way he celebrated, Adil.
Yeah, he was really happy.
He was
players went out to him. The players went out to him. Even at the end of the final whistle, you could see Milner talking to him. It's clearly it's not just for Trent, but the whole club is supporting Trent in trying to get back his place. But I think it's a bit everyone's overstating the performance from Trent. I mean, he got his assist. He was good today. He's one of the best players on the pitch. But I think it just proves how much Klopp got it wrong at the start when this crisis started. That messing with that midfield was the reason why Trent and everyone was struggling, because Fabinho does make that much of a difference. Because we said it. No, we said it before this game. We said it while Liverpool was still drawing. That Fabinho makes decisions that makes it easy for everyone else around him, especially for Trent, to understand what to do, when to tuck in and when not to tuck in. And now you're seeing that. You're seeing how a proper midfield, and you could probably say the most important factor to Liverpool's team is actually that midfield functioning properly. Because as soon as that midfield doesn't function properly, the attack doesn't look like it's going to create clear-cut chances, and the defense looks woeful. So really, probably not enough praise goes to the midfield and the amount of sacrifice in the midfield does for everyone else to take the limelight, because you hear everyone talk about Van Dijk, you hear everyone talk about Trent and Robertson, Salah and Mane, but really the engine of this team is those three midfielders, because tactically, the amount of different things they're doing. Sometimes they're covering the fullbacks, sometimes they're pressing high, winning the second ball. Sometimes you got players going into the central of defense. You know, it's a really tactical system for that midfield, and they are so intelligent to play it. So I think really more credit should be given to Fabinho and that midfield. When they pick the right personnel, the whole team looks better. The whole team they make everyone look better. And I don't think it was just a case of Trent was in such bad form. He was getting exposed because he got used to playing with a lot more protection that he wasn't given. And even Alisson went through a phase of playing poor. That's how much this midfield makes a difference to the way Liverpool play. The system just don't work when the midfield three ain't doing its job and covering for everyone else.
Well, this is the thing, a funny thing, Adi, you say, because we kind of spoke about this in previous Liverpool games where they were actually struggling and losing. And you mentioned that obviously they have two centre-backs that they can play in terms of Kabak and Phillips, or the other Phillips that they have. They could play them and play the actual midfielders in their midfield position. And it's funny how everything's now worked out, where they're actually playing their players in the right position. And it seems like it's transformed everything.
I think before Klopp was trying to keep the squad happy and get as many of those first teamers on the pitch. Now his hands being forced by the injuries, so he's maybe there's something that that actually in the long term will be beneficial for Klopp and Liverpool. Is he's gonna learn from sometimes it's better just to keep your midfielders in midfield and play a weekend defense, because a stronger midfield, especially in Liverpool's system, a stronger midfield and a weaker defense is probably a stronger team than a weaker midfield and a stronger defense. You get it? And I think sometimes his hands got forced in finding the solution, but you can see the difference. I think every football fan can see the difference that having a midfield in this 4-3-3 system, having midfield that knows what it's doing is probably more important.
Clearly. Vader, let's kind of look at Arsenal in terms of does this Arsenal team have enough kind of squad depth, or the quality difference between the players that are missing and the players they have to replace them is day and night, it seems.
Look, I would never thought I'd be saying this, but God, Arsenal is Xhaka today. People sit down and they talk about Xhaka, who doesn't know what he's doing, but he brings a bit of a bite to that Arsenal midfield. He gets dirty, he gets in your face. He might be technically not the best player in the world. Arsenal don't have the depth. I know Arteta. It's a big job. Arteta's got his hands full with Arsenal at the moment, and it will take time for Arsenal to get a good squad. At this present moment, you had Saka out, you had Saka out, David Luiz out, you had Bellerin's out.
Bellerin was on the bench.
Bellerin was the bench. Okay. You got players, but however, Arsenal, the thing we come to the point where every year in the last 3 years, let's be honest, Arsenal have become a team that finishes 7th, 8th, 6th. Yep, they're not actually pushing for a title. They're not looking to win something. If they get a good run in the cup, then it's great. But they've invested really badly. Now either that's Arteta or the previous manager or the manager before that. The investment they've made in the team, it's been poor. You know, you bought Pepe. You know, he's had 2 games, maybe or 3 games in 2 years. How much was he? £72 million. I think he's still paying for a player. Like he's not come and done anything. You know, you got Aubameyang who's had a new contract with Arsenal, and he looks like he doesn't even look like a player no more. Like today, I was absolutely gobsmacked the effort he put in. You know, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be absolutely going mental. The guy's the highest paid player in Arsenal team, and he didn't want to even know. You know, I'm sure he was a captain at one point. You know, so
he still is. He still is the captain.
He's still a captain. Oh my god! And you know, I don't know. And then you got
his performance matched his hairdo.
Yeah,
it's terrible, like his hair.
Yeah, but you know, you got players like that who's on a serious money, and then you got players like you got Pepe, you got Odegaard, obviously he's on loan. You got Cabas. I'm sure. Is he on loan or is he been bought? He's still on loan.
Is on loan. Yes.
Right. You need to send him back as quick as possible. The goes missing. 60 minutes in the game. I think he touched the ball 3 times. You know, when he came off, you know, he's disappointing. So, but it's embarrassing. You're a footballer. Put a tackle in. Put an effort in. Roy Keane would say, you know, get into the game. Do something. They did absolutely nothing. And you know, Partey. You know, I've seen Partey play a couple of times in the Champions League. He looked like a decent player. Everyone, you know, people rave about him. Partey, we got Partey. He's coming. He's gonna do this, gonna do that. I've seen him have half a decent game against United, and he was only decent. And since then, I've not seen nothing of him. Today, Fabinho bossed Partey, and the 3 others. He could have put them all in his pocket and walked around with them. That's how easy it was. And player like person like Partey, they spent a lot of money on. He should be he's a unit. He's a beast. He should be dominating. Did Arsenal pick up any yellow cards today, Adil? In that midfield?
I think near the end there was a few, like Gabriel got some, and
you know, the Arsenal that we grew up.
Soft.
Yeah, the Arsenal we grew up when Wenger came. They were
Vieira,
a
Petit,
force.
my word.
Huh?
Vieira, Petit, you got
Parla,
you got everyone flying in.
You knew when you're playing Arsenal, right? You're going to get it. You knew the game started in the tunnel, right? You knew that you're going to come on the pitch, and today I'm gonna face a team. Arsenal now, anyone can go there if they want to play football, a little bit physicality, and Arsenal will shy away. I feel for Arteta. Arteta's got a very hard job. I think he's a fantastic manager. I think he will become a very good manager. I think he needs time. I think he needs about 3 or 4 windows. He's getting rid of a lot of bad buys at the same time. And I feel for him today. He looked because even before the game, you have a bit of an aura. Arteta, when you watch him start the game, he's normally confident, he's up there. But today he looked like he knew, man, if we get a result today, it'd be lucky. He actually knew that we're not going to get a result today.
There's a few things to that, myself. I think, look, number one is that's a huge rebuild job.
Yeah.
Arsenal is a huge rebuild job. They got old players. They got a lot of soft players who probably don't fit the characteristics of the manager, because the way you see on the sideline, the way he talks, he's no nonsense. You get it? He's like the old school. The players don't match that mentality, and then the ones who do, they were missing today. And you know, Xhaka, like I said, he puts himself about. He's definitely one of the leaders of the team. David Luiz is a huge influence in the dressing room. Is one of the leaders. Saka was probably the most informed player this season so far. Emil Smith-Rowe makes a huge difference to the energy of the team.
Yeah.
But the thing is still the same. The problem I have is, yeah, he's been given a bad hand, but also he's making the situation worse with his decision making too. For example, you know, they wasted money on Pablo Mari. It doesn't look like a good signing for me.
I've been saying that for ages.
Even you look at Holding, you know, Arteta's the one who gave him the new contract this summer. You know, he does not. I mean, the way Mane turned it. We're talking about the first 2 minutes of the match. The way Mane turned him, and just brushed him aside. We're to the first 2 minutes of a match of a big game. You're trying to, you know, you're playing someone, a team in a similar situation to yourself, and you get brushed off that easily and turned. You know, so you got Holding, who's been given. You got Suarez, who you didn't trust today over Chambers. You know, there's a lot of signings that they're already Arteta signings. Partey today, you know, didn't do nothing. Ceballos is an Arteta signing.
He was there for memory.
Willian on the bench, not good enough. That to the point where you're playing a Pepe who was non-existent in the game. You're playing Aubameyang out wide, you know. So a lot of players are still his signings there. They're still the hallmark. So not only is he having to have big rebuild and have to fix it, but he's also still making mistakes. And you can forgive him for it because it's his first job and he's got a tough hand in that sense. But I don't think like he's helping himself either. I mean, he's making mistakes too.
I think he is. But you know, at the same time, you know, let's be honest. Some of the decisions he making, that's something that when you're a new manager, you're gonna make mistakes. I personally think that everyone needs an opportunity. You know, we get rid of managers too quickly nowadays. The way the business is, and I'm sure Arsenal are a club that I'm sure they're going to give him time, and he's at the right club because I don't think Arsenal are going to be getting rid of Arteta unless they're looking to get relegated anytime soon. So I think Arsenal will give him time. It just needs, how long does he go, and how long does a board invest in players that are just no good for Arsenal? I just don't understand.
I still think the profile of players they're going for is too neat. You look at Odegaard, a game like today, he's not your man. You know, everyone praises like the work rate he puts and he puts some tackles in. He's never going to dominate a game though. He's going to do nice touches, nice flashes, and he's better than, you know, Ozil off the ball. But he's never going to really dominate a game. You get it? He's never going to grab it by the scruff of the neck. And, you know, he played at West Ham, he did do a job, but partly that was West Ham going all defensive and, you know, going all negative. So I just think, you know, the profile of players they're going for, I think winning those 2 cups might have actually made the situation worse, because I think Arteta ended up giving certain players more of a chance than he would have when he first got in. But because they won those 2 cups, maybe he thought, okay, maybe I can do it with this bunch. And now he's seen some of them is exactly what his first opinion was. They're not good enough for Arsenal and for probably even Arteta's mentality. So I think as well as he done excellent to win those 2 cups, it might have in the long term had a worse effect in the rebuild. Because you could tell some of those players, some of those decisions in contract signings, you have to question now. You know, I can't see what Holding brings, but you gave him another 3-year contract. You know, the strange decisions.
I mean, it seems like doom and gloom for Arsenal at the moment, especially with this season.
It's definitely a huge rebuild.
It is indeed.
And they have got a manager who can do it. So they've got one.
I'll be honest with you, we haven't got much long to talk, but I'll be honest with you, I think Arteta is the right man for the job. But, you know, I just hope that he's allowed, I don't know how it works in Arsenal, he's allowed to get his players and, you know.
We won't spend much money.
It's not about spending money.
I'm not so sure how loyal this Arsenal board is. I really don't. They remind me of a board that's all about the end result. So I think if he does not do well in the Europa Cup, you know, they may fish around. I don't think it's the right thing to do because there's a lot of dead wood at the club. But I don't think this board is as loyal as maybe a lot of people think to Arteta.
They have kind of changed and restructured the club to kind of fit Edu and make Arteta more of a role within the club, etc. So I think they're probably trying to give them that chance to kind of rebuild and have that opportunity. So let's see what the future really holds. But there's an opportunity there. Thank you both for coming in and sharing your insight. Really, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, guys.